You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 58. Yeah, I'm bringing back proper intros. We stopped them for a while for various reasons that I'm not going to bore you with. It seemed like a good idea. It seemed like a test. Seemed like a good test. I much prefer them. One of the ones I listen to have the intros, so we're bringing intros back. Please, we've got that bit of business sorted out. Today, I'm going to talk about Christmas. I know you'll be listening to this towards the end of October, early November, based on my amazing abilities with dates. So you should be into Christmas already. This podcast isn't just for brands, it's also for brand ambassadors and anyone who is looking to boost themselves online. Christmas is a really, really good time to do it. I know you might be thinking, oh, but everyone's doing it. Yeah, they are. So you need to be innovative. So first up, if you are a brand, there are different ways that you can get Christmas coverage for yourself. One is the most conventional and more traditional, perhaps, way of working with the printed media. If you're listening to this and you're around first-ish of November, around the first of the month, you're likely to be able to get into some of the regionals. If you're listening to it later, you might need to try harder. But whenever you are listening to it, if you are looking to get into printed magazines and you haven't done anything about it so far, they work a long way ahead. So you may have missed the boat. Let's be perfectly honest here. You may have missed the boat. I mean, I was working on Christmas deadlines at the end of August, early September, which I know is a bit terrifying, really, when it's still really hot and you're here in a t-shirt and you're typing about Christmas, but it is the truth. However, people do have different lead times. They do have different features pop in. There are lots of opportunities and you might hit it. So if you are interested in that and you are a brand, don't delay, please. Reach out to the magazines you want to reach out to. I know we talked about this quite a lot in my membership group, Mastermind, and we talked about this a couple of months ago. But reach out, see if you can get involved if you want to. If you have missed the print deadlines, there's a lot online, and not just with the magazines, but with bloggers and influencers. You also have the ability to reach out and work with them around Christmas. And you also have the ability to do your own Christmas promotion. And obviously we're looking at social media, we're looking at your blogs, we're looking at videos, we're looking at all the things. I mean, from my point of view, what I'm actually going to do this year, which may not actually fall into this category of the podcast, but heck, I'm going for it, is I'm running Podmas, which I actually called Podcastmas, but thankfully Donna Case, who's again one of my masterminders and is the incredible horse feed guru, said just drop the cast, so Podmas. I like it. And I'm doing a podcast today between the 1st and the 25th of December, which sounded like a really good idea. And it is a really good idea. But my goodness, it's a lot of work. But we're nearly there now. Hopefully by the time you listen to this, I will be there. We will be done. We will be laughing. They'll be in the bank, uploaded and ready to go. And they are really cool. So what I've done to be different is I usually do something Christmas based. I think last year I did a giveaway where I featured a product a day and then we had a weekly giveaway. The year before that, I did a video a day of a product day. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of work. So I tried to do something different. And I've got a few other ideas bubbling along in the background that I'm likely to do. So you'll have to just watch that space. But my main focus this year is Podmas. So because I obviously do this podcast, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a loyal supporter if you've listened either since the beginning or even if you're just joining now. I really appreciate it. So I love the podcast. I love speaking to you lot. I love seeing your reactions. I love you sharing. I love you tagging. I love it all. And what I really love is that through the podcast, a lot of you have got to know about different brands, the way different people work, their actual work, how they got into what they do, the thought behind it, the nuts and bolts behind it. And I know when I'm listening to podcasts, when I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I get such a kick out of finding out how businesses work and how people have built it and the theories and the ideas. And that makes me feel a much closer connection to that person. So I was listening to Holly Tucker, does a really good podcast called Conversations of Inspiration, and she interviews a variety of different entrepreneurs in different spaces and talks to them about their business journey. If you haven't listened to it, do go to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts and do have a listen. There are some brilliant ones. I haven't listened to them all, but I listened to one with the lady, I've completely forgotten her name, which is really bad, who behind the Cambridge Satchel Company, and her journey was really interesting, and so much respect for her and so much grit. I love the grit. Alex Monroe, who makes the beautiful jewelry, the iconic bee, that was amazing. The chap Joe Wicks, the body coach, his was incredible. I absolutely loved that one. Thomasina Myers, who is the lady behind, probably going to pronounce this wrong, Oaxaca, the Mexican restaurant. It's a really diverse mixture, but they're also interesting. And because I know about the background behind them, I want to buy into them more. If I see a Oaxaca, I really hope I pronounced that correctly, I would never have even considered going in before, because I don't even know if I've had Mexican food. I live quite a sheltered life. But because I know all about it, I'd be much more willing to try it. So with the Cambridge Satchel Company, after I heard the podcast, I've heard of the company before, and I'm sure I've seen some of their pieces around the internet, but I went to the website and had a look, and I loved it. I loved the story. And the same with, the body coach. I even attempted a HIIT workout. I mean, that wasn't a success. I'm pretty sure I pulled every muscle in my body and couldn't walk properly for a week. But the idea was so brilliant, and I really loved Joe's ethos, and I got to know more about the person behind the brand. I digress. It's a really good podcast. Go listen. But I know that when I share someone's story through the podcast and we talk about their business and their beliefs, the people who listen are interested in that brand in ways that they would never be before. And I'm the same. If I just see another brand pop up, I'm like, oh, great, another brand. And that's not in a dismissive way. It does sound dismissive. That's just in a, oh, okay, that's happened way. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to necessarily follow them with interest, cheerlead for them, buy from them, if I don't know all the bits of the story. Because in today's world with social media, everything is so busy. There are so many people out there fighting for your attention, and the stories get lost a little bit along the way. And when people tell their stories, when people share the bits that they're doing in their world, I think it either draws you to them, attracts you to them, or not so much. So I'm really digressed today. I apologise. So with Podmas, the idea is that each day I am going to feature someone I work with, which is realistically one of my clients or one of the people in my mastermind group, because I have the absolute privilege of knowing these people better, and I know they're incredible, and I want to help them share their story with you. And there's some serious questions and there's some absolutely mental questions, so that's something to look forward to. But I think it's really fun. So that is my key piece of Christmas content, and I'll be repurposing the heck out of that, obviously. Watch this space. So what I'm trying to get to in a really roundabout way is that if you are a brand or if you are an influencer, you don't have to rely on other forms of media like magazines, other websites, whatever, to promote what you're doing if you do a good enough job of it yourself. I say this hoping to whoever is up there that Podmas does well, but you know exactly what I mean. You have the ability to create your own buzz. And I personally think that is the most exciting way to do things. I know I'm a bit warped like that. I enjoy it. I like seeing an opportunity or an event or something that I want to capitalize on and think, okay, what can I do that's different? And because I much prefer my money where I can see it on my hands, wrists and neck, what can I do that is perhaps going to cost me time? And we know time has a value, but what can I do that is creative, out of the box, and has got much more chance of making a buzz than anything else? So I could put an advert in a magazine to say, you know, Christmas is great. Happy Christmas. Here are some brands I love, and do a list. That isn't going to do anything, in my opinion, because it's an advert that it's going to take me 20 minutes a day to tell you over 25 days. I should have done maths. Hang on, I can't do this. But hours and hours to tell you over the podcast in lots of different days. Don't worry, it's not like I've listened for sort of 6 hours straight. So that's not going to work for me. There are lots of things that could work for me, and that's what I'm interested in exploring, and that's what I want to encourage you to explore. So this time of year, whether you are a brand or you're an influencer or you're a brand ambassador tied to specific brands, get your thinking caps on. I would really love to see some crazy, innovative, pushing the box out ideas out there, because I've talked before about how busy and crowded the marketplace is. And that can be a negative because everything's been done before. But what a great place to innovate, because it means that when you think of something slightly out of the box, slightly crazy, slightly out there, you're much more likely to captivate people's attention because you're doing something different. And if we think back to some campaigns this year, the one that is really sticking out in my head is the Honest Riders campaign. The one that they did, which was really eco and promoted making more eco choices for a month. I thought that was an absolutely flipping superb campaign because it was different. It helped people, it advised people, it wasn't preachy, but it was supportive, and I loved it. And more than loving the actual thing itself, the buzz around it filled me with joy. I absolutely love Zoe. She's a member of my mastermind group. I've had the privilege of working with her. I love what she does. I love what she's about. I love how she thinks. And to see her take an idea like that and absolutely ace it fills me with more joy than I can explain. But what was key is that it was different. It was community-based, which is something that I'm obviously going for with the Podmas too. It encouraged and supported and celebrated, and it was incredibly positive whilst getting a really important message out there. Now with Christmas, perhaps we're not going after all of those if you had a tick list, but you can use a number of those elements or look at campaigns that you really loved. Look at things that really caught your eye on social, on websites, on whatever over the last year, things that stick out in your mind as brilliant things, and think about what they did. But don't go, oh, I'll copy that because I really can't be doing with that. Don't do that, please. Think about what boxes it ticked. Was it community-based? Was it beautiful imagery? Was it aspirational? Was it video? Was it voice? Was it, I said imagery. Was it collaborative? Was it this? Was it that? Look at what interested you, what impacted you, what made you feel like you wanted to be involved, that you wanted to follow it, that you wanted to cheerlead and flag wave and all the things. And now think how that applies to you, what elements of that you particularly love, because some of these campaigns and competitions have so many facets that we don't need to have them all. And think about how you can expand it. So one really popular Christmas idea that I see a lot of businesses do, I see a lot of influencers do, I see a lot of brand ambassadors do, is a gift guide. So I want to say 2 years ago, but it might not be 2. I think it was 2 years ago. I did a big gift guide online, and that was the video a day, and we gave stuff away, and it was brilliant, but blooming hard work. But I took the gift guide idea and I made a video element to it. So instead of just being, I also did a picture and a blog. It was an insane amount of work actually, but I loved it and it was really good. But rather than just doing this is one blog with some pictures of stuff that I want, I tried to spin it round. I think I did for him, for her, for dogs. I can't remember. I need to go and look at that really. But I tried to spin it round. I tried to make it so it was different. It wasn't just another blog in the same format. I'm not saying don't do blogs. I love a blog. I did a blog element to it. And with Podmas, I'll be doing a blog element to that as well. is really important for your SEO and it does have massive value. But I'm saying don't just go, oh, I'll just do a gift guide. Like, think about it. How are you going to do your gift guide? How is it going to be different? Are you going to try and do different price brackets, so under a £5, under a £10, under 50, whatever? Are you going to focus in on money can't buy experiences? Are you going to focus in on bespoke and customized? Are you going to focus in on colours? Are you going to focus in on specific people? What are you going to do that's going to make your gift guide different to any other gift guide out there? And by trying to think of our point of difference, our USP, if you will, unique selling point, we can actually rise above, and people can have lots of different ideas, and everybody can be working together to actually promote these different ideas. The problem comes when you do, I've done a gift guide, and then someone else has done a gift guide, and actually you wouldn't know whose was whose. There's no personal style or personal flair in there. But it is obviously upsetting because there's so much you could do with a gift guide, and you could make it absolutely incredible and really, really, really good. And actually what you're doing is you're making something that's kind of mediocre, that's kind of expected, that's kind of average. And I'm personally not into that. If you are an influencer and you want to work with brands and you want to feature them, you could ask them to send you products to photograph. You can send them back. But rather than using their stock imagery, perhaps, you could ask for the products and you could style them up. And I know that's a lot more work, but I feel that in a busy, busy market, you can either put out, she says, doing a podcast today. That's a lot of content. But if you can do your thing really well, I think there is more value in doing less better than loads and loads in an average way, because your better content is likely to get you more traction because you are different and because you are pushing the boundaries. So again, referring it back to my Podmas, which I am admittedly doing every day, which does sort of mess this argument up. Actually, the amount of time it's taken me to produce is massive, but I've spread it out over a few months, so it's not too horrific. But I would rather do that well than go, okay, I'm also going to do this, and I'm also going to do that, and I'm also going to do this. And I have got actually an idea for a gift guide, but it's very different. So again, I feel like I'm being really contradictory today. I'm trying to say, push the boundaries, do something different. And don't think I need to have, because you can also repurpose. So if you have your piece of amazing key content that you've put a lot of time and energy into doing, don't think, well, I've only got one hit, so I need to have something else. Think, well, actually, I've got this amazing piece of content. Let's say you did a styled gift guide and you had the products in and you styled them up in specific themes, and it was a big old piece of content, but it was one piece of content. You could break that into individual sections and promote a thing each day as part of what you're doing. You're pushing everyone back to the same place and you're promoting your amazing, amazing content, but you're not having to do like a million gift guides. You've got one that is different and unique and well thought through and really fits with you, your target market, the people you want to attract. Do that thing. Be different. It also means that you're not competing with everybody because you are being you. And by being you and having what you're doing and developing that in a really good way, that isn't going to be the same as somebody else's you, because you're not just going, oh, screw this, let's just do stuff that's really popular online. Because you're not going to be different. With brands as well, if you want to do some collaborative things, think outside the box a little bit. How could you collaborate in a way that is different, that is pushing the boundaries? Is it a massive prize? Is it a specific prize if you want to give something away? Is it, what are you doing to be different? So Hi Ho for the last couple of years have done Vlogmas, which has been so, so good and has been so, so different for a brand to do. And I felt that was really brilliant because it was really collaborative. Go and have a look if you haven't looked at it. It's really brilliant, really collaborative, and so special. And other brands weren't doing it. Other brands were doing like, just really obvious things that people couldn't really get behind as much, because it was clearly sales driven. And of course we need to sell. If we are a business, we need to sell something to make money, and you shouldn't downplay that either if you're a brand. But there is that balance of the value that you're giving versus the sell. You need to have the balance. You need to help people with their issues, their pain points. What problem will your content solve? Will it help inspire them to find the right Christmas gift for their awkward uncle? Or will it inspire them to take some time out and have a listen to something? Or will it make their Christmas prep easier? Or will it make their Christmas ride better? Or will it make their hip flask taste insanely amazing? Look at what you're doing. Push the boundaries, be different. Whether you are a brand, I've separated influencers and brand ambassadors a little bit, although they largely cross. Because if you are a brand ambassador, maybe you want to work with the brands that you're an ambassador for and say, look, I want to help you with your content at Christmas. What can I do to help you? What would work for you? I've had these ideas, and this is how I would like you to get involved if you want to. Is this something you are interested in? That will light them up, because at Christmas they are busy, they are focused on the retail, they are focused on the selling. And especially if you're working with brands that perhaps don't have big marketing departments or even external marketing people, that's really valuable. So think of your ideas, think about what you're going to bring to the party. How can you help the brands that you support and you're an ambassador for reach new people over the festive period, over the buying period? How can you inspire them and educate them and help them learn about the company that could save them a lot of time, energy and stress over Christmas to get the perfect gift for whoever? How can you do that for them? And if you're a brand and you work with influencers and ambassadors, what do you need? Tell them, communicate. So Christmas is coming. It really, really is. And if you want to make this Christmas really work, whether you're a brand and you want to make it insanely good and your best ever, or whether you're an influencer and you want to reach new brands and you want to work with new people, or whether you are a brand ambassador who wants to really help the brands that have supported you so much over the last year, now is the time. Please, now is the time. Because of the online world we live in, which is flipping amazing, we can do things much closer to the deadline, but people are buying stuff now. Christmas shopping has started. We have Black Friday rocking up soon. There's lots of stuff going on. Get your eye in, think about it, and just make a step forward if you want to do anything. I'm not saying you have to. I mean, I think if you're a brand, you kind of have to actually. Take that back. If you're a brand, you have to. If you're an influencer or a brand ambassador, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But if you did, it would make the world of difference to people who have supported you. And if you can think about ways that you can incorporate what you want and make it, authentically dripping and clearly you have now got the time to just have a bit of a think and go, okay, how can I make this work? You can speak to the brands about what you want to do. You can gather stuff in for photo shoots and still have it back in time for them to sell. If you do it now, you have the time to make something flipping incredible. If you leave it much later, you're probably going to go down a generic whatever route. And I would urge you, if you can, to not. I would urge you to look for the exceptional, look for the inspirational, look for the aspirational, the extraordinary and the different. And yet, it is going to be work. As I said when I was whittling on about Podmas, it's a lot of work. But Christmas is a really interesting time when that work is likely to pay off more than it will at any other time of the year. Because instead of creating your own event, which can also have massive value, but your own event in inverted commas, like a month of something, which could also be massive, but is harder work. Everybody is tuned in to the festival, to the thing that you are trying to help celebrate, which I think in many ways makes it easier. It makes it harder because there's more competition, but it makes it easier because you're not having to introduce people to the concept of Christmas. Like they're good with that. You can build on that. Whereas if you're creating something as a standalone, you have to introduce them to the concept before you can explain it a little bit more. So, Christmas is coming. There's many, many songs that I feel I should break into now, but I'm going to spare you that because I really can't sing. And no one needs that in their ears if they're walking or mucking out or listening in the office. But please, get your eye in on this. Now is the time. 'Tis the season to be canny. Fa la 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 la. There we go. We've done it. If you've listened to this episode, please don't forget to screenshot, share to stories and tag me. I'd love to see if you're listening. And I would love it if you tagged me in your Christmas ideas when you get there. I want to see who is really pushing the envelope, boundary. I don't know. Who's pushing stuff? There's a song there too, which I'm going to avoid. But who is really going for it? Who is thinking outside the box? Obviously, I'd love you to be involved in Podmas as well. That will be a podcast each day, and many of the episodes I'm recording have a limited offer or a competition or something like that connected to it. So again, I would absolutely love you to get involved in all of that. But you'll know about that. It'll be all over the internet with beacons on. But thank you so much for listening today. Also, if you've got a few minutes, I would love you to leave a little review for me. Reviews are really important. They help to get the podcast more exposure, and I'd love it. So if you've got a few minutes, I'd absolutely love you to leave a review on wherever you listen. It would be really appreciative. But thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate having your ears on this, and I'd love to hear your plans and what you are up to. Have a great day.